Boom! Welcome back to the channel. We are doing an update on Brilliant Stars today, this veteran of a set from 2022. How does it hold up compared to Scarlet and Violet these days? Well, we're going to tell you, so sit back, relax, and welcome to PokeMarketLab. All right, folks, let's get into it. Brilliant Stars. We were actually requested to do this update by a follower here. Josh Carl 3699 asked, could you do Brilliant Stars, please? Of course we can. And that kind of lined up beautifully because we actually just passed the 3-year anniversary of Brilliant Stars, which was, of course, released on February 24th in 2022. So yeah, 3 years it's been. So just a few high-level points about Brilliant Stars if you were not around back in that era. This was really the bookend set of the hype era. So at this time of release, the market had kind of fallen quite heavily. It was heavily a scalper's market. A lot of influx of people had come into the collecting and investing side of things during COVID. It was kind of the thing to do. And Brilliant Stars kind of marked the end of that. And it actually kind of flipped things on its head in terms of set price at release. So at release, it actually dropped pretty heavily. It was pretty cheap at the time, and then kind of picked up steam a little later. And then it introduced V-Star cards. So a very, very interesting time for the hobby, both from an investing side, collecting side, as well as playing side. So those are some of the high level points. Let's get into updates on sealed product here as we do. So let's look at the Pokemon Center ETB. Now, a reminder, there was really nothing special about the Sword and Shield era Pokemon ETBs. They had 10 packs instead of the regular 8 packs from the regular ETBs. There was no special promo inside, no stamps promo. It was just a different item, just 2 extra packs. It was limited, but beyond that, that was really it. So we're starting to see some pretty significant movement for the Sword and Shield era Pokemon Center ETBs. Nothing like we see in Scarlet and Violet, but we are finally starting to see these move. These, while not having anything special, are becoming a bit of a collector's item. They were not produced in near any kind of quantity that we saw the regular ETBs or the booster boxes. ETBs from Sword and Shield era, especially Brilliant Stars, the regular ETBs were heavily, heavily printed. I think I've seen, the last time I saw Brilliant Stars ETBs at a big box store online, I think it was still less than a year ago. So we've seen Brilliant Stars come into stock. I don't know if it was Macy's or Target, whatever. We've seen them pretty recently is the point. So they were heavily printed and may have been printed as recently as within the last year. That or some massive kind of restock from distribution. We don't know. So back to the Pokemon Center ETB, sitting at $110, 77% return in the last few months. People are picking these up fairly quickly. I don't want to say they're FOMOing into them. I don't think so. But again, it is a collector's item. If you want exposure to Brilliant Stars, to Sword and Shield in general, there are worse ways to go. It's an expensive ETB. But they are going to be rare in the future. And again, if you want to have an ETB, want to have one that's more collectible, right? And we're seeing this a lot, even in regular ETBs, Pokemon Center ETBs from this era. Booster boxes are extremely expensive from this era. They will continue to be expensive in the future. So people are looking to get exposure from these sets via other methods like this, where you can get exposure to the set, but it's not a $300, $400, $500 booster box. So these are doing well, should do well in the future. Not as well as Scarlet and Violet era ETBs, of course, but if $110 isn't too expensive to you and you want exposure to the set, could be the way to go without paying $300 for the booster box. Regular ETBs on the move as well, sitting at $70 here, up 46% return, in the last 3 months. There's still a decent chunk of these on TCG Player, 114. I guess that's not much for an ETB, but again, these were really heavily printed. And so again, what people are doing, they're going through all the sets in the Sword and Shield era and just picking up an ETB from each one to get some exposure. So $69, $70 is not that much to pay for an ETB that's this old. So again, if you like the set, I do not see these going anywhere but up in the future. I wouldn't FOMO into them, but there's no reason this isn't going to be a $75 to $100 booster box in the next year or two. So if you want to get in, don't wait. And booster boxes, of course. $286 for the booster box, 46% return in the last few months. I was surprised, these are drying up pretty quickly. Under 100 listed on TCG Player. Sell volume is pretty good too. Average daily sell rate of 3 per day over the last few months. So doing quite well on the booster box side of things. So just in my mind, Brilliant Stars has always kind of been the caboose of the Four Horsemen. The Four Horsemen to me are Evolving Skies, Chilling Reign, Lost Origin, and Fusion Strike. Brilliant Stars has always tried to keep up with those, but it just didn't quite have the umph or the cards to kind of keep up with it. So we kind of see that a little bit here. We get Chilling Reign here to the right-hand side, but Brilliant's actually catching up. So this is some booster box comps, some comparisons here. So Brilliant, again, sitting at $286, 42% return. Chilling Reign at $300. So Brilliant Stars is chomping at Chilling Reign's heels here and actually outperforming in the last few months, up 42% versus Chilling Reign's 31%. So pretty interesting there. Yeah, and outperforming Silver Tempest as well as Astral Radiance here. So again, I think Brilliant's kind of had a little bit of a resurgence here recently. And let's look through the cards and kind of see why. First, let's go over total set value. I love to do this comparison again, to show just a representation of maybe the demand or the type of cards or the artwork in the cards in these sets. This is just a total value of all cards here. And you see Brilliant about that $1,100 mark and pretty straight here across Tempest, $937, Astral. So within a couple $100 of each other. And obviously Chilling Reign sitting at $1,658. So Chilling Reign actually has quite a good value stretch of cards there considering its booster box price. And we can look at booster box set value ratio, which is the total value of cards in set divided by the booster box. Right now, higher is better. That means we're getting more cards in that set of value for the booster box price. And Chilling Reign, again, doing really well there at 5.44. And Brilliant Tempest and Astral, again, quite in line with each other. So those are pretty good representations of the cards in the set, given they're all kind of within close to each other in terms of total set value, as well as, so they're kind of right in line. There's no like value steal there in comparison. And then, of course, we are looking at total card value distribution. So the top 20 cards from Brilliant Stars, looking at their value and kind of graphed out. So you can see, how smooth that, how many cards of value there are and where that kind of drops off. So we obviously have the Charizard there at the top, pushing over 200. We have that Umbreon VMAX, which has done quite well recently, kind of picking up that second spot. Is I would say once it hits that $100 mark, it's another chase, right? So this is pretty good. There's plenty of cards in value here. There's a good gallery of cards to choose from. There's plenty of good stuff. You get some solid 151. You got Evolutions. You got a Zard at the top, right? It checks a lot of really good boxes. So certainly lots to love there. And then starting to look at those top cards of value from the set. So these are, starting at that top slot, we have the Charizard V at $205. We have the Umbreon at $84 and Roaring. Oops, that's not Roaring Wood. That's Charizard V-Star. Again, this is the first time we saw V-Star cards. So that Charizard art, I'm not a huge fan of the rainbow cards. I just think they're kind of flat. The foiling's nice on them. I just wish the Pokemon themselves were in full color and the area around them was rainbow. It just kind of looks flat in a binder. So looking at the Charizard there, up 15% in the last few months, which was surprising. I guess it's an expensive card, but there's not many. There's less than 60 of them listed on TCG Player. This is, it's a 3-year-old set. No reprint risks. Not many people, I should say, are cracking a $300 box to go through singles. So the population of singles that you see on TCG Player is going to be a little, other than people doing new listings, you're not going to see an influx of cards here. Obviously the Umbreon, second place there, sitting at $84, 145% return in the last few months, selling an average of 4 per day. Really, really solid. That's a really good looking Umbreon card. Again, you can't deny, you get a set like this that's got an Umbreon and it's going to do well. And you get a Zard at the top again. I will say, so the Umbreon artwork I like, the Charizard artwork is okay to me. I think it certainly feels dated compared to modern Scarlet and Violet. Again, the further along we get in Scarlet and Violet, there's more separation, and the more out there the artwork becomes. You can even start breaking it down as Scarlet and Violet goes on, so it's not consistent within that era, and it should be, right? As time marches on, you got to push the limits of artwork, but we can certainly see the artwork just looking a little bit dated here. All right, on to the next page of cards here. We have Sylveon VMAX at $47. I think that looks good. I think it looks modern. Umbreon V at $46. I think it's looking a little dated, along with the Arceus at $46 as well. So These cards are really holding up well. Again, you're going to start seeing these start to dry up as well, and there's not going to be any kind of influx of additional cards into the market for a set that's this old. And looking further down here, some honorable mentions. That Mimikyu VMAX I absolutely love. I think that's a fantastic card. One of my favorites from the set, sitting at $36. That Urshifu VMAX, another beautiful, really cool, almost like anime looking card to me. That Jolteon's really cool, and that Flareon, that watercolor kind of effect, really cool. So there's some really good cards in this set. And again, I think like a lot of other sets that struggle, some of that value is further down the chain in terms of card price, right? So really holds its own. I think I don't think it's really missing anything. I think that's the Charizard at the top being 200. It's not my favorite Charizard. I think it's expensive for what it is. It's just, to me, doesn't have that oomph that I want from a big bad Pokemon that's supposed to be a chase card. If that, I don't know if that makes sense, but that's kind of how I feel about it. All right. Like we do on every set update video here, let's rate this set. So let's start off. I think it's a solid B. It's a great set. I think it's certainly, I think it sits right in the position it should, which is following Lost Origin, following, Chilling Reign. Depending what day of the week I'm looking at Chilling Reign and Brilliant Stars, I might think Brilliant Stars edges it out a little bit. But again, this has always been a kind of, falling a little bit behind the Four Horsemen. So I think, and Evolving Skies being an A category, Fusion being an A, maybe Lost Origin being an A minus, and I think Chilling Reign being a B plus. I think this sits right at B. I think a B or B minus for me is pretty accurate. Reprint risk. This is certainly far enough down the chain. There's certainly more items that the Pokemon Company needs to worry about right now versus trying to go back to Sword and Shield. So Sword and Shield is really done. We have seen some surprises in the form of Elite Trainer boxes not that long ago, but we've even seen that really start to dry up. So really, I don't see any risk here. This is really the time, we're kind of leveling off in the Sword and Shield era in terms of box accumulation on the booster box side. We're seeing a lot more action on the Elite Trainer box side and the Pokemon Center Elite Trainer box side. Again, those cheaper items that people are trying to get some exposure with before those start to climb and get out of the price range as well. It's only a matter of time before we see some more leg up on the Sword and Shield era. And again, Brilliant Stars is in the top cat. It's in the top half of really good sets within that era. So it's only a matter of time before it accumulates further. So I think, again, if you want to have exposure to this set, if you like it, if you like the cards, remember, that's how we buy. We want to like it. Don't just listen to me and say, hey, he likes it, I should get it. Do you like it? Because if you like it, other people probably will too. So again, this is an opportunity at this point. Again, just make sure it's within your price budget. I think the ETB is a great way to go. You get a little bit of exposure. They store very well. It's not unreasonably priced at the moment. So, and let's talk about price target. You know what? This is getting a little hard with Sword and Shield because it's leveled off a lot. They're expensive boxes. So you start getting into some categories where people are getting priced out. There's your potential buyer pool starts to shrink a little bit over time. As you start getting certain price categories. Again, that's why we're seeing more people move on the ETBs versus the booster boxes. So lots of questions about the market too. What's the market going to do? We're seeing Scarlet and Violet boxes start pushing over $200 now. So is money going to start pouring back to Sword and Shield and seeing that as the older and less reprint risk version of boxes that they should be going with? We don't really know. We don't know what's going to happen. So, there's lots of other factors too in the market at the moment that we just don't know whether the market's going to continue to point north, point sideways, or kind of settle and point downward a little bit. Really no way of knowing. Certainly I can't tell you that. I think a reasonable price target for this in the next 12 months is 275 to 300. This is always going to hit a ceiling versus those Four Horsemen again. So I highly doubt this is going to go soaring past Chilling Reign or Lost Origin. So it's going to really wait for those other boxes to start accumulating in price again and to start moving and getting sold. So it's really got to wait for those others to kind of get out of the way and clear the path for it to kind of keep marching forward. So really interesting set. Again, this was a unique time in the market where the hype cycle was starting to die down. It was a crazy time. This is about when I was really starting to pay attention from an investment standpoint in Pokemon boxes, not as deeply as I am now, obviously, but I was starting to pay attention, as was a lot of people. Again, there, this is what happens with these hype cycles. We are in one now, technically. There's a lot of people start paying attention to the investment side of things. Most of them don't hang on, but a lot of people start paying attention. So that's all I got for today. It's Brilliant Stars, great set, and we will do another update as sometime down the road, probably a month or two, as this set continues to age beautifully. So that's it for today. Let me know what you think in the comments below, and of course, if you love what we're doing, give us your vote of confidence by giving us a like and especially a subscription. So that's it for today. We'll see you on the next one. PokeMarketLab out.